Welcome back, Generals, to another Let's Fix Generals 0 Hour to make the best game ever. Good, so our last session we did vibe code a little bit here, DirectX 8 Aux renderer to help us get started with rendering some shit. Yeah, we can continue with that. Let's see what is new here. So this is enhancement minor gen ZH. Okay, good. Let's get back to this code. Okay, so we have added now the files. Yeah. And that generates, yeah. Okay, then let's open the aux renderer files. How about we clean up a little bit here? We have so many files open. Aux renderer, there we go. Good, so, and then we copy paste the stuff from here. We take these guys. And here, and then we take this guy and we put that in here. My gosh, that's quite a bit of code. Put that here. Okay, so I think we can just use pragma once. Pragma once. Okay. Okay, here we include aux common, no, game clients, aux renderer. Okay, and then we can probably, no, that looks fine. Okay, it doesn't find function for this guy. Okay. Okay, so somehow render world is not implemented. It is here. Aha. I guess we can just... Okay, what about a flush? Flush. Flush. Okay. Okay, so there are some errors in here, but there are no errors in here. Okay, that's promising. Let's see. Set FVF. Okay, that doesn't exist. FVF. There's a get FVF. Set FVF. It's here. FVF info class. Okay, but that's a game struct. Okay, well, that's not very promising. Okay, bytes. Hey, let me ask ChatGPT. The function call does not exist. It's not here. Does it have a different name? FVF. No. Vertex shader. Set vertex shader. Vertex shader. That does exist. Handle. Okay. Is that correct? Yeah. Vertex shader. I don't know. Could be. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Okay, that is sorted. What else do we have? Some errors done here. Vec3 projects. What is the problem? A value of type cannot be used to initialize an entity of type bool. It returns a vector. Okay, how do we use this function? Project vector from object space into screen space. Let me also change this to a tab. How do we write a tab here? That doesn't work. Can we use that? That works. Okay. Okay, let's remove the font stuff for now. Man, I really don't like the formatting here. Jesus Christ. I would be surprised if this works. What is this? Could be 0. Yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? If not words empty. Okay, we need to clean up the formatting a bit later. But it's okay. Okay, so how would we then set this up? So the aux renderer, it needs to live somewhere now. Clean up. For starters, maybe we can. There's an init function. Init cleanup. Okay, now the question is, when do we create this guy? Where do we have this guy? It's inside Vegas. Maybe the aux renderer needs to be in Vegas. Oof, there. Huh. Okay, let's take this guy. And move it into in here. Hold on, that's generals. Core, please. There we go. Okay, so we take this guy and we move it in here. And then we take the include. Aux renderer. Okay, so we remove this here again. Aux renderer. Then we go to library, source, Vegas. There we go. Then we add it up here. There we go. Okay, then we need to create the aux renderer somewhere and have it live somewhere. The question is, where do we do that? We need to check where the DirectX device is created. This guy. Create device. It's here. Maybe. Create device. Yeah, how do we hook this up? That's the question here. Right now I have no clue. Oh, so we need to get a pointer to this guy. This guy. It lives somewhere in the it lives here. Create device. Create device. Okay, so it is created here. Yeah. Yeah. Do one-time device dependent inits. Okay. Could do it here. What is this? Are these statics? Huh, static. Oh. Okay. It's all static, yeah. Jesus Christ. Huh. Huh. Okay. Okay. Projection matrix. Okay, so I guess we have to create a static aux renderer in here. Yeah. Maybe. Oh, static, yeah. It's interesting. Do we have also a shutdown? We do. Okay, now how about we add here the new class aux renderer. Okay, and then here we add a new static aux renderer. Just put it here. Say aux renderer. Aux renderer. It's a bit of a weird naming convention, isn't it? Let's name it class then. Aux renderer. Oh, let's keep it aux renderer for now. Good, so aux renderer, and then we need to allocate it here. New aux renderer. Does it take a... Oh. Includes aux renderer. Then we have aux renderer init, right? Init, and we have to pass the device. Yeah. And then on shutdown. Where's the shutdown? Yeah. Shutdown. We have to shut down first, right? Texture loader. Do it here. Aux renderer. Clean up. Delete. Aux renderer. Well, the destructor already does clean up, so we just do delete aux renderer. Could also do that. Renderer. Maybe we make it also global here. Extern. Aux renderer. The aux renderer. Maybe that would be the way to go. Yeah, could do that. Then here we say the aux renderer dot cleanup. Is undefined. Okay, extern aux renderer, the aux renderer. Okay, what is the problem? It's called shutdown. 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 aux render is undefined. Why? Okay, I don't know why it doesn't find it. We have it included up here, so it should find it. Put it into the wrong file, that's why. It doesn't know that this file exists right now, that's why. Yeah, let me remove these two files here. No, here. Let's just leave them there, I guess. Okay, then here we also put this guy. And here we do include aux renderer. There we go. Okay, so we have this guy in here, and now we do an init, but it expects something from us. It expects the device, of course. There we go. Shut down. Shut down, shut down, okay. Okay, so this compiles, it is a start. Now we go to W3D display. And now we call here, we need to include include WW3D2 aux renderer. There we go. And then down here we now call here the aux renderer. Draw here, render worlds. It's not a pointer. Okay, render world, and here render UI. Okay, so that is hooked up. Yeah. Okay. Um. So now the question is, when do we need to call this guy? Let me see. Updates. Updates. Begin frame. We also need that. Begin frame. Probably begins here, right? Begin render. Begin frame. What does it do? It just clears. Okay, that's fine. But we need to call this. We need to call this way before this. The question is where. Probably in game engine updates. Like somewhere here, right? Or maybe even higher. Let me put a breakpoint in here. Let's see where this is called from. And find the right place. Okay, so we have game main. No. Okay, so where's the loop? The loop is here. Yeah. So this is the update loop. Yeah, it's yeah, it should be in here. Win32 update, game engine update. Huh, I don't know why this is here. When we alt tapped out, the Miles Automator seems to go into coma sometimes. Oof. I wonder if we can remove that. I will comment this out and revisit it later. Okay, so I think we can. Why is there a scope here in this code block? Okay, I would say we just put it here. The aux renderer begin frame. There we go. Maybe. Well, I think it's fine. Do include ww3d2 aux renderer. Okay, and then let me ask, when and how do we call? When and how do we call? Set viewpoint. Once per frame. After you computed your camera's view and projection matrices and before render world. Okay. Anything else relying on projection? Let's see. Get transform. Render world, flush. Feed to the aux renderer. What? Okay, so okay, prepare for UI screen space. Okay. Prepare for UI. Okay, Okay, for now I'm just interested in rendering things in the world, so I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, so I did see that here we have a projection matrix somewhere down here, right? This one, what is this about? Oh, it's a matrix 4x4. Transform. Oof. Oof. Ugh. Oh, it's so dirty, isn't it? Oh boy. So they store the DirectX matrix as an unrelated matrix, and they just transpose it to get it into column major or row major, whatever that is. Transpose it. And so effectively this matrix 4x4 is now effectively a D3D matrix. And then they just reinterpret cast it here and there. Yeah. Is this public or what is this? Protected. Yeah. Okay. And so okay, so the question is, where do we get our matrix from? Projection matrix. Let me search for projection matrix if we find anything else. Camera class. Aha, get projection matrix. Get view matrix. Ah, okay, the camera class has that information. Ah. Okay, how is that used? View transform vector. Ugh. Okay. Projection. It's not entirely clear to me what we do next here. So what kind of matrices are these? 4 by 4. Okay. Then what do we do with this matrix? Do nothing with it. Okay, well that's it's used for that. Draw text well. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the projection and view matrix are only used here for drawing text in the world. So it looks like we don't need to care about this for now. Okay. Okay, so what do we do next? I guess what we can try now is, so we have here code in here. So we take this, yeah. Okay, so we go back in here, back here, put this back in here, okay. Okay, and then here we also include the aux renderer, yeah. Okay, we call the aux renderer and draw Q filled cube, I don't know. Dot. how does it know? World to screen center. Draw world. I don't quite understand how it will know the... Okay, vector 3, let's do worlds. 2, yeah. Okay, so we pass here this type, half size, we just do, I don't know, 20 color. What is this type? Oof. It's really hard to read here. Okay, so there's this, and there's a constructor. Color. Color 4. Okay, I have no clue if that actually will work or not. I have no clue. It's a bit suspicious to me, like, how does this guy know that the world is this? Like, I don't know if... I'm not really sure if it can know this. It might just not work at all. Okay, at least the game doesn't crash. That's a start. Okay. We see nothing, but it's also not broken. Yeah. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's put a breakpoint here. Oh, we didn't write out, right? Okay, looks exactly the same. Let's put up a breakpoint here. Okay. Yeah, how would it know where the world is? That I don't know. Okay, so it does stuff here, it does queue up, and then what? Let me go to flush. Here, render worlds. Yeah, flush. It's empty. Okay, nothing is happening. Okay, it doesn't actually render anything. Why not? Oh, that's interesting. Let me go to begin frame. Okay, so we are here. We are in, where are we? We are in updates. Updates. Okay, so we are at begin frame. Oh, we render the world right after begin frame, and then only afterwards we push it in there. So this happens after we render. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a problem here. Oh boy. Okay, so we need to put the begin frame probably. We need to put it behind the draw. We can, maybe we just maybe how about we simply clear these guys. Behind the flush calls here. So we flush these guys, and then here we do this, and in render UI we flush this here. Clear. Done. This should work. Okay, and then we remove this stuff here. Not needed anymore. We just flush after we are done with the org. So it doesn't matter when it was issued, it just takes whatever was put in there at any time and renders it out. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, if we still don't see anything, then we need to probably simplify our test a little bit and make sure that it's really in view. Okay, so we don't see anything. Okay, now I would like to search for mdebug camera. Yeah, and we go to this piece of code here. And I simply will put here at the end this garbage. And then we say, let's add the aux renderer here. And then we take here the world pos, yeah. World pos, okay. And then, what is this? Type? Quad 3D, okay. So we say worldpos.x here, yeah. Okay. So let's see what happens if we do this. World 2, okay, there we go. Let's see. If we still don't see anything here, then we need to figure out what kind of coordinates this thing expects, right? We see nothing. Fantastic. Okay, let me see. For rendering the world's objects, how do we pass the correct coordinates in there? I don't even know how to properly ask this question. It's not very specific. He's thinking. You don't pass the device transforms. Instead you give it world space coordinates. The renderer already has a camera view projection. So for world overlays, you have to take your object's local geometry or offsets, transform those by the object world matrix, producing world space positions, cube primitives with those transformed positions. Update camera matrices and feed renderer. Transform chord. Yeah, so we somehow need to pass it the correct coordinates. Right now, I still don't understand how we do that. By the way, this here is probably not called, right? Debug camera, what is the... Control-Shift-C, yeah, we need to enable that. There we go. Okay, so that is this, but that's what the game already renders, right? Yeah. Okay, let me ask, does QFill cube expect screen or world coordinates? I think that's one of the first questions. World space coordinates. The center you pass is in world space, and half size the same units as your 3D scene. It will be transformed only by the camera's view projection when rendering. Where does it do that then? In here, in flush category. Okay, I think use QRect for 2D rectangles. World space center. Use QRect for 2D. So right now it looks like that we have to transform it. Okay, how about I don't I'm confused by this. It's not using these matrices for anything other than Q text world. Okay, so I currently I don't understand the relationship between these coordinates. Like what we pass, what it expects. I don't understand. It looks like it just takes like some position, but how does it know where this position is? Like some position in the world does not correspond to some position in a scene that we look at, right? Okay, what does this function do? Let's read it. Camera project screen worlds. So we do have a camera class. What kind of functions does it have? Maybe the answer is here. Projection. It's probably one of these that will help us there. I have the suspicion. Currently, fill cube does not use any view, or does not use the view or projection matrix. Okay, let me ask this differently. I do have a game world with coordinates that are different to the render coordinates. I have a class. I have a camera class here which provides a few functions. How do we... It has a few functions. How do we use these to help draw the primitive, to draw the geometry at the right places? You're basically dealing with 3 coordinate spaces. Logical world, where entities live, yes. Render worlds, what the renderer camera expects, yes. Clip screen space, what the aux renderer uses internally. Goal, give the aux renderer world space positions in its own rendering coordinate system and supply it camera step by step. Prepare camera matrices. Okay, so this I understand. We want to get it from row or column major to the other one. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Do this once per frame or whenever the camera moves. Okay. Converting your game world positions to render world space. If your game world uses a different coordinate system than the renderer expects, you need a conversion step. That may be a simple affine transform or a full matrix. Supply that render process. Okay, where is that? Okay, that doesn't help me much. Okay. Transform to view space. Okay, how about we check how these guys are used? We have project camera space point on project. Transform to view space. Okay. For starter, let's put a bookmark here. Yeah. Projects. I mean, the matrices here, they only are used for let me ask a question, but mview and mproj are not used for the triangles, correct? Correct. Are only used for projecting 3D text. The batch line triangles don't get transformed by them internally. So unless you have already set the device view projection elsewhere, those world space triangles will render in whatever transform the device currently has. Before calling render world, you must push the camera's view projection into the device so that the cube spheres triangles are drawn in the correct world space. Okay. I remember he mentioned this before. I ignored this. To avoid needing to manually set those each frame, you can modify the renderer's flush to apply them at the start. Okay, are they already applied somewhere then? Let me see. Set transform. Let me see. Set projection transform with Z bias. Okay. So I guess we just call that guy or this other guy. Set DX8 Z bias. Okay, so where is this called? It's called in camera. Apply. Okay, let's put a breakpoint in here. Call stack. Okay, so it is applied just before we render the world. But camera. Are there multiples? There are multiples. Okay, so we have one for the 2D scene, which is... Okay, I see. Maybe we have to put the render world into one of these views. Could that be? Maybe. So we have a 3D scene, and we have here some, I don't know what that is, water tracks. 2D. Okay, so we certainly don't want to draw it in 2D scene, right? We want it in here. Okay, so a 3D scene. Okay, we certainly don't want it in here. Yeah. Okay. And so is this the last view that we are drawing? View lists. Next. Okay, the 2D scene is the last one. Okay. Okay. Scene render. Flush. What does this flush do? Okay, so how about we put the render world here? And hope for the best. Where does the camera come from? M camera. Yeah. Okay, so this should be the right location. Okay. So I think we have at least a correct place now for that thing. Don't we remove this here? Okay, let's see if we see anything now. I expect we still don't see a thing. But we're making some progress, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so we still don't see... Oh, there's something. Is that from us or not? I'm not sure. It only triggers if we move the camera, so it's it could be one of our things. There's another blue. I'm not sure if that's from us or not. If it is, it would be funny. It looks like a cube, yeah. It looks like a cube. With a bit of imagination, you can see it's like a... Like you can't really see it because there's some lines missing, but it's a cube. Yeah. Okay. So we see something. Okay, but I'm curious why... Why is it blue? Shouldn't it be... Oh, ARGB. Okay, that explains why it is blue. I thought it would be RGBA. It's ARGB. Okay, how about we make it RGBA? A goes there. I don't quite like this color. It would be RGBA would be better. That's okay for now, whatever. We can worry about this another time. Okay, then... Okay, so it is blue. Fair enough. So now the question is it this one or is it the other one? It's probably the other one. It's not this one. Or 20. Okay, I think it's promising that we see something. We see a cube in the world. I think that's already pretty decent. But here for this debug, we expect that we see this cube in the center of the screen, but we don't see it. Why not? Because these world coordinates, they don't translate into... They don't translate into... That's interesting. Okay, so we want to see a cube here. Yeah. How about we check how things are drawn in this 3D scene? Like, how does it... What does it do to objects before it renders these things? So set camera, and then we do render. Okay, that's it. Customized render. Okay, that one looks interesting. Here we have an object. Yeah. Terrain objects. Okay, let's see what we do there. So we have the camera here. Aha, set transform world. Okay. TM. And then what? Okay, this one we also do in our aux renderer, right? Set transform. Set transform. Transform. Set transform world. Identity. Okay, but it looks like we now cater to this. We apply the correct camera transforms. But I still don't know why this one. We at least we see something. I think that's good, but I expect that we see some. It's always like if nothing works to begin with, it's always so hard to figure out what is actually the problem, right? Okay, what is the problem? What is the problem? Okay, I have one thing. Let's go to height map. Yeah. And we comment out this thing here. Yeah. Let's first verify that we really get those cute cubes. Yeah. From the other place. Okay. So we have this enabled. Okay, now the blue thingy is gone. Good. So then next we go to Orcs renderer and we go to draw. What is it? Render worlds. Yeah. And we put a breakpoint here and then we check if there is stuff in there. Aha, it's empty. Well, that's not good. Aha, there's something. Triangles 12. Okay, so it should draw something now. But now it's 0. Huh, it's 0 and not 0. Why is it calling it twice then? Oh. Okay, so I see one error here is somehow WW3D render is also called in 2D scene render. Why? How does that make sense? Is that supposed to happen? Okay, then I think this is not the right place. And instead it should be drawn here. Okay, let's remove it here. Okay, so we now called in the 3D scene here at the end. Yeah. Okay, maybe we should say here, just to make sure. Maybe this is enough. Well, I guess we don't need that. Oops. Okay. Okay, so we definitely now have here 12 triangles on every call. That's good. Okay, so we apply the camera here and hopefully that will be all good. This will apply transform view. The following the following settings will be applied before drawing, before render worlds. Does that make sense? Thinking. Yes, its sequence mostly makes sense. You're configuring the pipeline so the orcs renders world overlays will draw in the same space as your scene. A few explicit points to ensure correctness. Viewport, you're computing a sub viewport from normalized viewport min-max and setting it. That's good. World geometry and projected text will be clip mapped correctly as long as the same viewport is used for both the scene and the orcs render. You call this two things to keep in sync. Whatever projection matrix, including any bias you use on the device, must be the same one you pass into the orcs renderer via set view projection. So that's okay. We don't care about this for now. Ensure the projection is in the same coordinates convention. Assuming camera inverse transform is the correct view matrix, the inverse of the camera's world transform. That's correct. Again, mirror this in the orcs renderer. So this and it's the same as this. You gave to the device. Okay. So it expects the orcs renderer. What is this here? Can this be returned? No. Let's skip that for now. Before calling vendor world, make sure the world transform is identity if you're supplying world space coordinates. Okay, I mean, let's do that. Just to make sure then. Matrix 4x4 identity true. Is complaining. Okay, we still don't see. Oh, we do see something here. Huh. Okay, that's progress. Okay, so we do have a cube now. That is where we want it, but it disappears. Why does it disappear? Huh. Huh. Okay, that's weird. What is this? Why is it lagging? That's weird. Why is it lagging so much? That's interesting. It's lagging this way. That's really weird. Okay, but we made progress. We see the cube now, but it disappears at random locations. Why? That makes no sense. Why does it disappear here? It's definitely drawing. Yeah. Coordinates seem fine. Z24. Okay, so we have two strange things. It's lagging weirdly. That's unexpected. And it disappears. I'm more worried about the disappearing. Well, I'm worried about both things. Oh. Oh, why is it disappearing? It doesn't have problems with cliffs, that's not it. It's something about the position. What could it be? I don't even know where to start looking for this. I think I do have an explanation for the lag. The lag is probably happening because we draw the cube position from the last frame, not from the current frame, right? Because when we give it the position here, this one, this here, this is a 2D scene, right? So I think that this thing here happens after. This is called after the 3D scene is drawn. So we're still going towards the end of the frame. And so we're lagging behind. And then, so just in the next frame, we draw the cube for the previous frame. And I think that's why we have this lag. Yeah, I think that's likely. But yeah, I think that's likely. Yeah. Okay. I think that makes sense, yeah. Okay, but it still doesn't explain why it disappears sometimes. Well, at some places, let's say. The only thing I can think of is that maybe it sets some render states here. Yeah, near the oil derricks it disappears. No, it's not oil derrick specific. But it probably, yeah. Let me ask ChatGPT. Okay, I see a cube now drawing where I want it to be. When moving around the map, the cube disappears at specific. Well, the cube no longer renders at specific locations. What could be wrong? Perhaps some render states make it disappear. Seeing it sometimes and then losing it as you move usually means something in the pipeline, transform depth clipping or state is drifting out of what the aux renderer expects. Here's a prioritized checklist. Camera view projection mismatch. Cube is correct from some viewpoints and vanishes, moves inexplicably when you move the camera. The renderer is using stay on consistent. I don't think that's a problem. Every frame, we already do that. I think this is an order. Depth Z clipping. Cube disappears at certain distances or angles. Its vertices may fall outside the near far. No, it's not that either. That's not it. Backface culling. That's not it. Or maybe actually. Filled cube shows only from some sides. It disappears when you view it from certain angles. If backface culling is enabled and your triangle's winding is inconsistent or inverted, do a tour of transform faces, make it cull. Disable culling for debugging. Okay, I guess you can try that, yeah. So it's set render states, yeah. Oof. Hmm. 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 How do we use that? Okay, we call it like that. Okay, fair enough. Let's do that. Viewport scissor. Cube disappears when camera moves such that it should still be visible. Cause a viewport or scissor bounce change. I don't think so. State bleeds. Behavior changes over time or when other rendering happens before or after. Cause other parts of your render code may change render states. Lightning, texture, shaders, transforms. Fix in flush. You already save restore some states. Expand that if needed, especially if the surrounding code toggles something like texture, stage, state, or transform. To me, this looks like the most plausible, but there's more. Coordinate space conversion bug. No, I don't. No, that's fine. Projection versus device desync. No. Okay, let's just test with these guys and see if that changes anything. Oof. That looks wild. Okay, the world looks very broken now. The shadows look broken. Okay, but it doesn't avoid the problem. Okay, that's interesting though. It is at the wrong position here. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, that is strange. That behavior. Okay, I don't really know what is going on there. At least we see something. I think that's good. But I have no clue why it's bugging. Let me see if the position still bugs here. It's different now. That's different. Ooh. Appears to disappear when it disappears as soon as this object is in view. And it does have these lights here. Maybe it's related to like what's it called? Transparency. Transparent. How do we call it? See-through texture. Maybe it's related to that somehow. Yeah, it's certainly as soon as this guy's in view, or the headquarter, that as well. Yeah, because the headquarter probably also has lights. Maybe. Okay, so it happens as soon as something is in screen. Okay. How can we diagnose this? Alpha. Alpha enable. So the aux renderer, what kind of states does it set then? Okay, there's a positional issue here. It looks like it's a positional issue as soon as this guy is in view. So something changes there. Okay, it could be it could be like some transformation issue. Maybe we can. Yeah, it looks like it is like some transform issue, some wrong matrix applied somewhere, somehow. But then what do we need to do then? I don't understand. Where's the 3D scene? Where's it? Yeah. Okay, let me put a breakpoint here. So this is now the good camera, yeah? Or not? Projection perspective. Okay. Okay, so here everything is good. Now it's broken. Okay, what happens now? I'm not really sure what to look for here. What about these other things here? World 1, World 2, and so on. Is that a problem? Voice? What is this? So this camera, it does apply. Update Frustum. Target resolution. Okay, right now I have really no clue what's going wrong, but it's something. At least so you have a little bit of a clue, right? So something is screwing up here. Some transform. But only when this object comes into view. Not before. Here it's fine. Everything is fine here. Okay, and then what does this do? It looks like the world transform is somehow broken when a when another specific object is rendered. What could be the reason? I do see the cube moving to a wrong position. State bleed. World transform left dirty by that object. Yeah, but we do set this here. Right before Render World. Yeah, that's what we do. If that other object is changing transform state globally, wrap its rendering so it doesn't pollute subsequent draws. Now that's fine. That's fine. The positioning, the transform should be okay, but I'm not sure. You must ensure 3 things are true right before. Calling, presumably it sets the device view, yes. You still need to feed those same matrices into the renderer. So it's internal, used for projecting vertex. And if you optional to have it apply them, stay in sync. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not rendering text right now. Can also push those to the device automatically. What is this? Debug with a fixed reference. That doesn't help me. Well, I mean, the AI does its best to help. It doesn't know, what I'm seeing, and it doesn't see this code, so it can only make guesses. I have no idea what the problem is. I also don't know how to debug this. Yeah, we need to. I don't know how to do it. Maybe we have some idea next session. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can merge some changes. Maybe. Good. Yeah. Okay, so right now I have no clue what's wrong here. We made some progress, so we can render something in the world. That's good, but yeah. There are bugs. There are bugs. Yeah. Good. Right now, I have no clue. Maybe something comes to mind. I'm not really good at rendering or things like this, so yeah, it's not my expertise, really, as is evident, right? Uh, can we figure it out? Maybe. Yeah, but basically, so the goal is to have some easy way to render lines and cubes and spheres in the world, which makes it easier to debug any kinds of things that are positional, right? Where you have some positional bug and you want to figure out, okay, where is the position wrong? Is it wrong there? Is it here wrong? Which is hard to see if you just debug. You can't you could print some text, yeah, but it's good to see things in the world and then draw something where you like to see the position in the world, right? And then it's easier to track down positional issues. Yeah. So we kind of need that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it works somewhat, but yeah, it needs to be fixed. I don't know what the problem is. Yeah. It has something to do with when it renders this, maybe because of this alpha. So my best bet would be to search for alpha. Alpha. Here, like these alpha arcs. Well, it's just a texture stage. Alpha testing here. No, that shouldn't. No. That's probably not it. Could it be that the camera is modified, maybe? After render? Could that be? Is it passed as const or not? It's not const. I wonder, maybe the camera is somehow modified by mistake. Because we transform it, maybe, transpose or so. Yeah. Maybe. Flush, what does a flush do? Flush. What it could do is make a copy of this camera before we render. So we have camera class, copy. It's gonna call it camera copy. Yeah. And then we do camera copy apply. Yeah. Maybe that will help. So if camera was now modified somehow here, we would restore the previous one here. Let's see. If that's the case, then we should probably find out what tramples this camera. Because that's probably not intended. I don't think so. No, that's not it. That's not it. It's the same issue. It's the same issue. Okay, so the camera is not being modified. Then I don't know. Good. I will take a break here. Then next session we look a bit more. Maybe we find something. Yeah. Maybe I can ask in the chat if someone knows anything about this kind of stuff. How about how about we make the cube a bit more visible? Let's do a wire cube. Filled and wire cube. Okay, now we have a wireframe, but it's it's not showing these lines here. Why not? Wire cube. Depth default. What if we make this a bit smaller? 19.5. Let me test this without this guy. Okay, so it can properly draw the cube with all the lines. So if we draw the blue cube smaller, will that work? Let's see. Well, not really. Maybe it needs to be drawn before the other guy. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay, then depth's always on top. How about we try that? Nope, doesn't work. That's strange. what we can also do is in the display class, we do have these functions for draw line, right? We could check like how these guys are implemented here, and then maybe that would help implementing it in a proper way. Reset. Huh. Maybe this will help us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe we probably need to revisit all this. Yeah. Maybe we can use this as a template to like implement it the general's way. Maybe that will help. Okay, good. I will end it here. Got a bit of stuff done, but not really much. Then I wish you a great day or night. Until next time, goodbye.